All right, it is another week and another episode of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. Joining me, as always, is I have a need to know Adam.
Hey, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well this week.
And I am Topher No Bits. I'm not some sort of member of the mafia. I'm just not doing a bit during the intro as to not scare away new listeners. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly misunderstandings. You know, it's not like they come in like, oh, not one of these guys again, and then if they wait for 2 seconds, like, oh, okay, actually that was funny.
they just don't get me, man. They just don't get me.
All they have to do is wait, right? But you know, and a lot of us get into this. First impressions are really everything, and that's what it usually is. This is usually the people that come in, and it's the first time they're listening to the show or watch the show, and they see this, and like, oh, not, you know, what is this? And then
we're in the TikTok and YouTube Shorts generation now. So if it doesn't happen within 15 seconds, it's not worth your time.
That is so true. That is so true. All of our brains have been wired that way now. It's just the infinite scrolls, the 15-second. I mean, that's why, and we are. I mean, we see the problem too. We do deep dives, right, all the time. They go 2 hours, stuff like that. The average viewing is half an hour. So you know, and it's not like. I don't think what we're talking about is a boring subject, or a delivery might be boring. Maybe it is. I'm not saying that, you know, but you would expect at least an hour into it.
Well, we will let the listeners decide if this week's episode is boring, because we are talking about history, and more specifically, we are talking about UAPs in history.
Yes, we are. And I always slept during history in school. However, I would like to say that after when I got into college and I began expanding going into my own reading, like without, you know, the teacher giving me a subject or giving me a book to read, I started going after, you know, I guess what's it called, alternative history, or, you know, stuff like that. I really enjoyed it, because textbook history is just so boring, because it doesn't have the conspiracies in there, which we know that's where the juicy part is.
Yeah, you know, high school, college textbooks, it's all government approved history.
Right, exactly. And history is written by who?
The victors.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
who gets to decide what the narrative is. But yeah, you know, like I said, today we're talking about historical UFOs. I've spent the last 2 weeks researching and writing about this. It was a lot of fun, but I turned what was I thought would be a quick, fun topic into 20 pages on my Substack.
Yeah, let's just show an example here.
And that was me. That was me cutting it short.
And everyone should definitely go and read this. This is some excellent work that Topher has done. Great research. It's there's got lots of resources in there, and external links. They can go and you know, just see that it's corroborated. It's not made up, but it's an excellent article, perfect for Substack. And as you can see, lots of great humor in there, which Topher is very known for. Your writing style is a lot of fun, by the way. I did enjoy reading it.
I don't take a lot of things super seriously, and I think one of the benefits of our show is we don't get nitty gritty. You know, we try not to have fun. We try and make it as sciencey as possible, and that's not really what we're about. We want to make it enjoyable and hope that listeners get a laugh. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why be so serious when I remember when I was in military school, one of the first things they taught us is to have a sense of humor. They're like, if you want to get through this, right? And then they're like, you know, most of you are going to quit in the first week. If you want to get through this, you have to have a sense of humor. And it stuck with me. I think it's very important to have a sense of humor, even with a subject like this.
You know, I do think UAPs and UFO, I do think it's a serious subject, but I do also think that it requires having fun with it. I really do. Right. Because go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I just because I think truly when you are expanding your consciousness and allowing the weirdness to come in, part of you can't all take it so seriously. You have to understand it is wooey wooey, and you kind of have to go down the weird rabbit holes and face some uncomfortable, just outright outlandish things.
Exactly, and it can get very ridiculous, but the implications are very serious because it challenges people's idea of reality, and the thing is, science and our institutions are saying, well, we figured it all out, right? This is how it is. It's just one timeline. We are the top of we are the apex of civilization and consciousness, and this is how the universe works. But UFOs challenges that. The UFO phenomenon completely challenges that. It challenges our science, it challenges our history, it challenges our place in the universe, and it challenges how we think the universe is. So yeah, it's 100%. Very serious.
Yeah, something I've said on a lot of episodes is I think the universe we exist in is a lot stranger than people think it is.
Yeah, it seems to be like malleable. Yeah, is that the right word? Yeah, malleable, like and almost to your will, but not like not like how comic books have it. But it seems to make space for everyone's will. And I guess that makes sense. Why would if the universe? It's like a tug. It's like a relationship between consciousness and the fabric of the universe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's where UFOs exist. I think right on the knife's edge.
Yeah. So I guess let's get into this. It's very important that we look back historically. This is not a new thing. It didn't just happen recently, right?
Right. Yeah. In fact, UFO history seems. Heavy note there on the seems to have started in 1947 when Kenneth Arnold reported 9 unidentified flying objects. Ever since then, people have been seeing UFOs all over the place. We've got flying saucers, of course. Tic Tacs are the new one. People have been seeing cigars, and there's even orbs, of course, and there's even things like jellyfish that we have videos of, which are just truly bizarre. And it causes everyone to pull out and record terrible, out of focus, shaky videos, and it's great. And it's even expanded outside of the United States, of course. We've got Roswell and Majestic 12 here, Betty and Barney Hill and Travis Walton, Americans, but even Falcon Lake in Canada to the Ariel School in Zimbabwe. Humanity across the world has been seeing UFOs. But it didn't really start in 1947, did it?
No.
No, it's been going on a long time. And today, of course, we're going through several instances of when UFOs have been documented. And when I say recorded, I obviously don't mean with a camera, but written down, from decades and hundreds and even thousands of years ago.
Yeah. And I think, and we spoke about this before, even religious scripture, when it was trying to describe what people were seeing in the skies or experiencing, they used the language of the day, and that is apparent in the different scriptures, right? They just didn't know how to describe something. Wheels within a wheel, a flying horse or whatever, or every step it takes is as far as you can see. That's like something going very fast, or like yeah, I mean, what's up there taking steps? So yeah, I mean, and I think we might have a similar problem today, I would think, or every era, right? We get into the space age and the nuclear age, so we use that language. Now we're getting to the AI age, so we use that language. It's like, come on. So what is it?
Right. So something that I touched upon in my article, and something we're definitely going to talk about today, is that culture seems to reflect how we as humans interpret UFOs. It's just like Adam said. You might see a flaming chariot if you live in the time of chariots.
Yeah.
If you live in the time of zeppelins, you're going to see cigars. The balloons are just starting to take flight. Guess what? UFOs are going to look like balloons, right?
Right.
But there are some major reasons that I discovered as to why it's so difficult to study these historical UFOs, right?
Right.
So the first problem, interpretation drift. Here's some examples, right? You've got Mr. Doctor, scholar, religious scholar, he's looking at ancient things that happened, and this guy existed in the 1930s, and so how does he interpret the things that he's reading about? Religious thing, right? And this, because Dr. 1930 scholar is so well respected, what
Right.
his beliefs turn into facts, and it gets cited and get passed down the thing, right? So when you're looking at something that was talked about in the 1930s, it's seen as a religious allegory because the person who first talked about it in the 1930s was religious.
Exactly.
And it goes the opposite direction as well. You know, you've got the psychedelic woo-woo guy in the 1960s who told his buddy, you know, at a bar, the story about a UFO he found in the Bible. That gets referenced in 1970. That gets referenced in 1990. Then you find a YouTube video in 2020 that talks about this total UFO that was found in ancient Egypt, right? When that wasn't necessarily the case.
Right.
And then, and this is the most crucial point as to why it's so difficult to study these, is they are hard to verify, right?
Right.
We've got stories that we're going to cover today, like Nuremberg and the sighting over Basel. And what they are is a single person 500 years ago wrote down the event that happened. How do you verify what they saw was 100% on the level? I mean, you can't, right?
No, you cannot. Yeah. No, you
We
cannot.
obviously don't have photos from that time. And because you've got limited people who can read and write, you've got one source. And it's kind of like I said a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Kelly Cahill. When you have one source, it makes things extremely hard to verify.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't know Nuremberg only had one source. Interesting.
One main source. Again, though, it's one of those things. It's 500 years ago, right? Who's to say Bob down the street didn't see this article and then he wrote it down in his journal, and all of a sudden you've got two sources when it's still the one source, right?
Right. All right, but I guess so. Basically, you know, taken from what you just said, and you know what we are going to report here is basically what happened, or was reportedly happened, and then you know we can assess, and the audience can make their own decision about these events. However, they are strange, they are anomalous, correct, and you know, that word does make sense in this context because a lot of these are in the sky, correct? So they are I think
Most of these I found do take place in the sky. There's definitely one that's on the ocean that's pretty famous that we will also cover.
So this first one I didn't even heard of, but yeah, but let's know how you. I mean, first of all, how did you even find this one? Because
I just found a random guy in the street who was mumbling and asked him about it.
Yes, I love those guys.
No. It's just, I know. It's the same thing. You Google it, you find it on the internet, and you look up, see if you can find sources. And of course, I'll state up front really quick. Some of the sources are less they're not as good as some of the other ones. This first one I want to touch on just to give an example of why it's so difficult to research these. It's called the Plutarch Silver Jar event, right? Just to sum it up, two armies are about to clash. They're ready and ready to fight. And from the heavens burst asunder, I think was the verbiage, right? This flaming thing comes out of the sky shaped like a silver jar and lands between the two armies. And the two armies cease their fighting. Now, great story, right? And it's written by a guy named Plutarch in 74 BC, so a few decades before the birth of Christ. Great. Now, does this guy follow up with what happened to this flaming silver wine jar that landed in between these two armies? No, of course not. So do we know what happened? Did the jar take off? We don't know. Was it an actual physical thing? We don't know. Was it some sort of allegory for peace between these two armies? We don't know.
That's insane. That's really frustrating that he just leaves it at that.
In the article I wrote, I wrote out the entire quote. It's 2 paragraphs long, probably takes a minute or two to read through. The whole part about the UFO, 2 or 3 sentences.
That's maddening.
It is maddening. But
I mean, because that would be
it's the perfect example of why it's so hard to research these things.
But do you think, all right, now let's try to bring it back to this age. Do you think it was redacted? Do you think the guy did write something and then, you know, the powers or the phenomenon got rid of the rest of it, you know, just leaving stuff in there? Because it is strange for someone to write all this. And I think this guy's known for his, and this is Plutarch, right? He's a, like people like him were known to write detailed. That was his passion in life, right? Was to be a historian. So it's
Right.
strange to write all of that and then just say sky burst asunder. You know, I mean,
It's
and just leave it.
truly bizarre. Maybe it was redacted, but honestly, man, I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's one of those things where these two
Yeah.
armies are, if we're taking him at his word, right? These two
Yeah.
armies are ready to fight, and then some weird anomalous thing that you can't explain happens. The main point of the story is that the two armies were going to fight, and then they didn't. The fact that a UFO was involved, whatever.
Right.
That's my guess. I can't fathom. I can't even begin to try and understand someone who lived in 74 BC. We're so far removed as a society and species from then. It's like,
So is this during the Roman era or 74 BC?
I believe so. All of the
Roman. Yeah, Roman. Okay.
all of the people who are named in the story have very Roman names.
All right, so they would have seen this as Zeus or some god, and they were used to this. That that the gods were always the gods were intervening a lot back then during the Roman days.
But again, in the text, nothing about gods is mentioned. Here it is right here.
Huh.
But presently, as they were on the point of joining battle with no apparent change of weather, all on a sudden, the sky burst asunder, and a huge flame-like body was seen to fall between the two armies. In shape, it was most like a wine jar, and in color, like molten silver. Both sides were astonished at the sight and separated. That's it. That's the entire thing we get about this UFO. The rest of the quote is about people who are named in the army, getting their armies ready and supplies and yada, yada, yada.
So wait, okay, so this thing stopped the armies fighting? Is that what
I don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
That's the point. That's what it says in the text. It says both sides were astonished at the sight and separated.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Okay.
We don't,
So,
like I said, we don't know if the craft left. We don't know if it zapped people. We don't know.
dude,
anything.
it's like humans are like a computer game or something. And back then they weren't. They were just like it's like Caesar 4. Remember Caesar 4?
Mhm.
It's like it's a 25-year-old game, and then it's not very advanced, and then they're just marching around, and they have really no advanced thinking or
Right.
compared to today with computer games. Now we have AI coming. I don't know why that popped in my head. It's like it was the same thing. It's like maybe humans have been like that.
Yeah. I
Scary
don't know.
thought.
But I do want to say he describes it wrapped in flames, right? Flame-like
Right.
body.
Yep.
And in color molten silver. Sounds like a UFO.
Molten silver, yeah, like a wine jar. So
That's interesting. Most like a wine jar, which
and kinda like
I'm trying,
molten
I'm thinking of a wine jar in my head. You take off the handles and you got kind of an oblong orb.
yeah.
Shape. So, and
But
maybe,
molten silver, I mean, that's it right there. It's metallic,
yeah.
right?
And, of course they're using terminology and information that they had at the time. They're not they can't talk about, oh, I was a tic tac, like, oh, it was shaped like a globe. None of those
Right.
things, because they didn't have that frame of reference. But so
That was a cool one. That's a cool moment. I like
Cool
it. Even though
one.
it's annoying and frustrating, it's a cool one.
Well, I hope you're ready to be continuously frustrated, because they're all not that bad, but they're all pretty bad. Yeah, I have a little note here. I just wanted to say, unless we've got the Vatican's alleged chronovisors sitting in the archives, we'll never know. And that'd be the first thing I'd be checking out if I had the chronovisor.
They might have way more information on this event. Right?
I referenced the Vatican several times in my article because I'm sure they do.
Right.
Because all of these were thought to be religious things at one time or another, right? And so why wouldn't the Vatican be involved?
Exactly. And what's her name? Like Diana Pasulka. She says there's a lot that the Vatican holds that they don't let us know about, or they even they redact because it doesn't conform to Catholic theology.
Yeah, it's the same reason why they got rid of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
But also really quick, I just watched, as I told you before we started recording, I just watched the new episode with AJ on the Basement. He was interviewing Chris Bledsoe, and Chris Bledsoe was saying he's been contacted by the Vatican several times.
Of course. Yeah, that's always been his angle, though, right? It's always been because his book is called UFO of God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
bestseller right now.
Right.
So let's move on and go up a couple hundred years to Alexander the Great.
Yes, I love this one. This is a classic, and anyone who's been looking into this subject just knows this, right? Because a lot of people just reference it because what was going on. And Alexander the Great has, a very mysterious history, right? His mother apparently was, didn't she wasn't she talking to one of the gods, quote
I,
unquote gods?
I remember, if I remember correctly, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they told her that her son would be a great king and warrior and ruler, and she was brainwashing him since he was a child that that's his destiny. So, it works. Just like Ben Shapiro was brainwashed. Look, I'm kidding. But putting these thoughts into people obviously work. But there was something. There was a power behind Alexander. It's not he took over almost half of the world.
The entire known world at the time, yeah.
Yeah. Within what, 10 years, something like that.
Yeah, and didn't he die like when he was 30 or something?
Right. Yeah.
Super young.
I think they poisoned him, or was it just bad food?
He was reclaimed back to planet Zeta Reticuli, the
right
reticuli system. Yeah,
and so many cities are called Alexander across the world. Even Egypt, you have Alexandria, Egypt. So Alexandria's, those cities are just all over because he conquered, and his seed was also spread. I mean, he also didn't just conquer, but he had women all over the place.
Of course, like all major conquerors, right? I mean, look at Genghis Khan. Same type.
Yes. Of thing, Oh, I wonder if there's any UFOs there with him because he just took over.
I was just thinking the same thing, but I don't have any on our list here today. But I'll do some further research.
All right.
So Alexander was trying to cross the river Jaxartes. I'm sure it's pronounced differently in ancient Roman, but I don't have privy to that information. And I found out that river is now in modern day Uzbekistan. So Western Asia is where this was.
And there's a lot of UFO activity in Uzbekistan even today.
Yeah. So he was trying to cross this river with his army. He's got men, horses, and even elephants, and he's trying to cross the army. And apparently 2 flaming shields that came from the sky and went back to the sky were repeatedly dive bombing his army and just freaked them all out. The horses, the elephants, the men, too scared to cross the river after that, as would, I imagine, anybody at that time period would be freaked out, right?
Right. Yeah. And then there's that parallel story during the siege of Tyre. Formation. Yeah, you just said that.
Yeah. So he tried to cross this river, got dive bombed by UFOs, and had to park it, and couldn't cross until the next morning. Again, one of those things.
So they stopped him. Which probably ended up helping him, right?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't figure out if it was ultimately a benefit or if it was a negative thing that he wasn't allowed to cross until the next morning. But again, it's just one of those things. Like, why?
Yeah, right.
Trying to cross the river. Why? You get dive bombed by 2, and they were described as flaming shields.
Yeah, 2 shining silver shields.
Silver shields. Yeah. Once again, for those who don't know what a shield looks like, it's circular. So you got silver, circular, flaming discs in the air. Just your standard UFOs, right?
Spitting fire around the rims. So great shining silvery shields, spitting fire around the rims. Things that came from the skies and returned to the skies. Yeah. What? And then
the source was a little bit sketchy. It was 2, if I remember correctly, I linked to it in the article, but it's 2 guys who discovered the writings of one of Alexander's generals, I believe, and who was writing all this down. And this same general also wrote a story about the siege of, now is it Tyre?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, and I had to be reminded because I haven't read about this since like middle school, Siege of Tyre, he was attacking a castle that was basically, it was off the coast, like on an island, and he had to build a bridge to get there just to siege the castle. It's already a really good story, and I never heard about the UFO angle, but this source apparently said, "Oh, we can't get down. We can't break the wall down. We can't break the wall down." And then once again, flying discs come out of the sky, shoot lightning, and blow up one of the walls, so he can finally lay siege to the castle.
All right, so it did kind of help him out, right?
If that is in fact real, because like I said, so many historians have covered the siege of Tyre. None of
Yeah.
them, except for these guys, have found any mention of flying shields that blew apart the wall.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So that part. So maybe something did really happen, and then people have exaggerated
Yeah,
beyond that, which is normal. People embellish all the time.
of course, it could
Yeah.
be. Or this is 100% on the level, and every historian who's ever covered the siege since then has gone, oh, flying shields, that was probably metaphorical. We can just not include that in our coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. And because many people like Tom DeLonge and Peter Lavenda and many researchers have said that the UFO phenomenon has been with us forever, and it has shaped human civilization, right, and guided human civilization. So we should look at these things from that lens, especially when you talk about Alexander the Great and these other battles going on. What were they shaping there? What were they stopping? What were they helping? Because any technology, anything that's more technologically advanced, can do a lot in nudging. Just a nudge. It could be just like that wine jar flying down from the sky. We don't know what happened after that, but they did say that the people parted. And then this thing with Alexander the Great, although not really sure what it did, but whatever it is, it's nudging the situation somewhere.
Yeah.
They don't have to overtly come down and do something and fight alongside someone.
Yeah,
Right.
they could, for example, shut down nuclear facilities or
There you
track,
There you
planes
go.
that are carrying nuclear weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There you go. Just small things that are very critical that could just steer the situation somewhere else. Yeah.
I meant to mention this up front, but we got started. Folks who are listening,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. For whatever reason, we don't have videos of all these events thousands of years ago, so this will be a text-heavy episode. But I've included pictures where I could, as much as I could. But yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about information that's hundreds of years old, so I apologize.
Exactly. Yes. And we are thinking of doing a separate video on this, and we can include AI, with maybe Topher narrating. We can have animation created by AI using the sources and descriptions, of course,
Right.
which would be more fun.
It would be more fun.
Yeah.
But let's move on to something a little bit more recent. This was in Europe in a city called Alençon, I think.
Alençon. Yeah. Alençon, because it has an accent on the C. So
Yeah, it's a C with a
Alençon.
little squiggly underneath.
Right.
Wait,
Now,
you've got a member of your family that knows French, right?
yes, so that's what I've never heard of this city. Alençon. I guess it'll be Sion. Alençon.
So the city still exists today. I included a link to a Google map so we can see where it is, but it's not that far from Paris, as it turns out.
Really? So what year was this?
1790.
Wow. All right, 1790.
So, multiple farmers report a flaming spherical object falling fast, making whistling noises and oscillating before crashing into a hilltop. The crash was so big, uprooted plants, and the object was so hot, the hillside caught fire. And throughout the day, more and more. So originally, it was just the farmers that saw this, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the day, you've got more and more people showing up, going like, "What the hell is this?" Remember, 1790. Alençon is probably not a bustling city like it is today. It's probably more of just a town or a village. But it was enough that everyone was there. That you had doctors, you had mayors, you had other government officials, and they're all standing around trying to figure out what the hell is going on. When by the evening, all of a sudden, a door opens and a human steps out, or what appears to be human, right? And this guy apparently mumbled something that could not be understood and just booked it, took off into the woods that were nearby. And they did look for him. They looked for him for a long time, and they found no trace of him. They couldn't find him. But whatever he said and his demeanor and sprinting off into the woods scared people enough that they backed off this crashed aircraft. again, this is, remember, a giant spherical thing. It was said to be big enough to, it could have had you could have had a horse carriage in there. So decently big.
A horse carriage. I love that.
Yeah, again, relating to context at the time, right?
Yeah,
They're not,
accommodated carriage.
yeah.
Did you see how
So
big the guy was? The dude that went into the forest?
from all accounts, he just, I think the only description I got was that he was average. The only thing weird about him was he had a skin tight suit on.
Oh my God, there it is. The skin tight suit.
And yeah, after he books in the woods and after saying something that no one could understand, the crowd backs off and the craft exploded. But it's not a big boom like you'd expect a, sci-fi object
Right.
how you'd expect it to explode. And it didn't pop like a balloon. And I'll come back to the balloon thing. But it silently exploded, just gone. And all the pieces that were scattered around the countryside burned away into some weird dust residue.
Oh, okay. So it did explode, but just in silence. All right, got it. Okay. So I thought it was like going back into another portal or something. So it did like self-destruct.
Yep. But silently, which I've never seen a silent explosion before, or I've never heard of one. Anyway, yeah, of course, nothing could be, they couldn't get any of the wreckage because it all burned away into a powder. But so the crater in the top of the hillside, it apparently remained there for years. Really? Now, the reason we have all this information is because it caused such a ruckus that the city of Paris, some sort of government official, I think he's listed as an inspector. His name was Leboeuf or Leaboeuf.
Like Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah. Again, sorry, I don't speak French. He came out. This happened, I think, in the spring. I can't remember. And he was there a couple weeks later. And he interviews the town folks. He finds credible witnesses. Again, remember, he's talking to mayor, doctor, other government officials, which I don't know what capacity they were officials, but not people to make something up, especially in 1790.
Right.
That's not the time when you're getting, interviewed by Discovery Channel about this. You're just a peasant in the middle of nowhere, essentially.
Right. But France by then, by 1790, I mean, the U.S. has already been formed. France has already had the revolution. They were very scientifically minded. Like the metric system was commissioned by the French. To be studied. So they took this seriously. This is very cool that this guy seriously investigated it.
Well, he may have taken it seriously, but when he took his findings to the French Academy of Sciences, they didn't believe him, and they put his report into an archive. And then in the 1960s or 70s, let me check my notes. 60s or 70s, I found different years that this was found. A researcher named Antonio Fenoglio. He was given access to the French Academy of Sciences archive and found this. And so it had just been sitting, in a folder someplace in a file cabinet collecting dust until he dug it up.
Unbelievable. Just because people didn't believe it and just laughed it away. Like, why even send the guy to go do a report and come back to you? And it's just,
hey man, 1790 or 2026, it's the same story.
Same thing.
Same thing.
It's the same personalities. It's they're like, come on, man.
Yeah,
we got the metric system now. What's wrong with you?
Time is a flat circle. Now, the reason I bring up the balloon thing, and this was something I found during my research, is that it was like 6 years before this. Let me see. In 1764, is that right? No, 1784. Sorry, I was sitting too far away from my computer. 1784, the Montgolfier brothers, who are considered the creators of the hot air balloon, and they conducted and completed their first hot air balloon flight. So 6 years before the Alençon event, the brothers are flying this balloon around.
Wow.
So, and originally the farmers had said, well, yeah, we thought it was a balloon. And then it was making a whistling noise and it was oscillating around and it crashed, which, balloons, they kind of bounce off the ground, right? They crash, but it's not as dramatic as a crash. Not uprooting, plants and causing a crater in a hillside.
Right. And then I'm trying to think, like, what if someone experimenting with something? Because by 1790, it's not crazy to think that humans are experimenting with things by
Right.
then,
But
right?
again, let's bring up something. A door on the craft opened up and a guy steps out.
Hmm.
That's not a balloon at that point, right?
Right.
He's dressed weird, runs off and thing. But the major point is it silently exploded.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I can't even like come up with something for it.
Yeah.
Except that it's not in this reality, but you had all these witnesses that for some reason had a window on another reality or something.
Right. So now I think would be a good time to talk about some hypotheses of
Yes.
what's going on with aliens and UFOs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I've talked about this on the show, and it's not my singular belief. A lot of people believe this at this point. I've talked about it before. Humans are half the phenomena when interacting with aliens and UFOs. They use cultural context to bring something that humans can understand when they enter our reality, right?
Right.
We've got a big antenna sticking out of our head. They're
Mhm.
radio waves, and whatever is in the back of our shared subconscious is used to generate their forms. So the first hot air balloon takes off the ground. Many people are witnesses, and then what do we get a couple years later? UFOs that are shaped like balloons. And when the Zeppelins were flying around, what were the airships looking like, seen all across the Americas during that
Exactly.
time?
Yeah, and there were airships. I mean,
Yeah.
because we had ships all over the place. So of course, what was flying around then was just a flying airship. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Yeah.
later in this article, and we'll talk about this thing, when people see a flying ship in the air, they go, "Oh, that's a boat." Because it was so early on in human history that we couldn't even imagine humans flying around, or if they did, they had
Right.
wings.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
see
So
a
maybe
giant craft in the air and they go, "Oh, that's a sea ship flying through the air."
right. And yeah, exactly. It's just they're trying to fit it in their description. I mean, by now we with all the studies that's been done with psychology and the mind and all that, right? The mind likes to make sense of things, and it likes to make sense of things of what you already know, like what you know, if that makes sense, because it gets filtered through your brain. Whatever you see gets
Mhm.
filtered, not just through your brain. I mean, through your perceptions, through your
Right.
right, yeah,
And
and
and the culture that you're in too.
right, yes,
And I think this extends even further than just the craft themselves, but to the aliens. Now, the first thing that pops up into probably 90% of people's heads when you say the word alien, you got the small grays, right? You got the little squat bodies, you got the big head, big eyes, and they're creepy looking. But even
right.
up until the 1960s, aliens just looked like humans, but weird. Like, for instance, Betty and Barney Hill said they looked like humans, but the skin was the wrong color and they were short and they all moved like Nazis, right?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Um,
Um, but only Barney said that, right? Not Betty. Betty
I
didn't
think,
see it.
yeah, yeah, I
She
think,
didn't see Nazis.
well, she talked to the doctor alien, remember?
Yeah,
But I believe that description does come from Barney Hill. But there's many other cases where people have interacted with aliens, and yeah, they just looked like humans, but they
look
had
like
like,
humans. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of them. Exactly. I
and
mean, too bad they're not talked
now,
about enough.
yeah, now we always picture them as nude, but the skin tight clothes very common up until somewhat recently.
That's
But
right.
and I also want to point out, dear listener, even now when you think about the grays, the Nordics, the tall whites, lizard people, and even the mantids, they all are humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 2 eyes.
Right. They're all
99
humanoid.
99% of the time, they still look relatively human. Even the mantises, which are the giant bug creatures, if you couldn't guess from the name, they still relatively look human.
Right. I mean, even yeah, reptilians, mantids, the greys, anything that people experience. I mean, even Whitley Strieber had like blue beings, the tall whites. They're all humanoids. They
Yeah.
have 2 arms, 2 eyes, mouth, nose, ear, and they walk. They walk. None of them crawl. Are there any aliens we know that crawl?
Oh,
I mean,
I'm gonna say no, and then someone in the comments is gonna find some obscure sighting from the 1940s where they crawled around like. Oh, what about the guy who he saw them out in the he was like in a cabin with like 6 of his family members, and he saw them out in the woods. People thought he was seeing barn owls or something. Remember that? You shoot
Oh
them and,
yeah,
like,
yeah, the green ones, the gremlins.
yeah, they'd like bounce all around. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Them also, even what not Wolfman, but on that ranch, what they see, like,
Skinwalker.
yeah, Skinwalker Ranch, exactly. Those they would see Wolfman walking
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So it's always bipedal, and that could be just the ultimate shape that the universe uses for intelligence, right?
Yeah, that's one of the theories.
Yeah, it could be just a blueprint. I mean, that it uses for not for a species that's sentient and proud. I think it would stand up. It just makes logical sense. And then an animal would be crawling, just from that logic. I mean,
yeah. I did want to touch on going back to the crafts and how they're shaped. I want to go back to Kenneth Arnold one more time. What he saw, I mentioned at the top, I said it very deliberately. I said he saw 9 unidentified flying objects. I did not say what shape they were, because Kenneth Arnold did not see flying saucers, despite what people may believe. He saw crescent-shaped craft that flew through the air as if they bounced like saucers on water. And when he reported that from his aircraft, he was seeing these things. When he reported that, by the time he landed on the tarmac, the press was asking him about the flying saucers he saw. And I have a little note here that I've crossed out. You don't hate journalists enough.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, journalists are trained to do this. They do this because we won't click. Okay, we won't click. We won't read.
Yeah.
By then they were saying, read all about it, right? Extra, and the headline needs to be catchy, and flying saucers. I mean, yeah, I'm sure what Kenneth said was very technical and boring, and they just came up with something that just took off and went viral. Now,
the reason I bring that up is because despite him seeing crafts or crescent crafts, what he saw, what he was reportedly seeing, the press reported this, was flying saucers. Now, what was everyone seeing after 1947?
Flying saucers.
Flying saucers.
Yep,
totally. As if they took the image that was, perpetuated by the media, shoved into all of our subconsciousness. They took that image and their craft started to look like that. That's why I brought up Kenneth Arnold again.
Yeah, and that's such a great point, and it just proves it again how we are part of the phenomenon. But maybe we are part of the phenomenon because our brain simulates what we see.
Yeah,
it's not like light comes in and then is it's not like our brain is a mirror and then that's like reflecting something into whatever's in our consciousness. It's hard for me to articulate that, but I mean, no, what our brain does, it reconstructs the outside world, the outside reality in our brain, in our head. That's what it does, right? It reconstructs it. It's a simulation.
Yeah,
and that could be why it's it's just so, when it comes to this subject and this phenomenon, why it's just so weird.
This is the way I had it written down, and I think this is how I kind of think of it. Is the aliens provide like a wire frame, right? And then our brain, our consciousness provides the clay or the paper mache that you can put on the wire frame into any shape that'll fit.
Like that. And that's why it changes so much.
Yeah.
Over time, and with our advancement, right? With our evolution, it changes as well. So when people say it is a guiding force, like valet, right? A control mechanism, whatever you want to call it, it does more and more seem like that's what it is. But what did we call it before? Didn't we call it God before? Right? Who else, has dominion over, would it be a godlike being, I guess, or I guess you'd say civilization? Because if you go back to the Old Testament, it was the Watchers, or the Elohim. They were plural, and then it became, oh wait a minute, no, it's one God, right? And then you had the Father, and then the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and then Islam came and no, it's just one God, and then prophets, and so that has evolved as well. But maybe if we go back to the sources, It is many. The Watchers. The Watchers comes from Enoch, right? Enoch, that book is pre-flood, so it has nothing to do with Abraham, has nothing to do with Judaism or anything like that. It is a pre-flood book, because he was warning about the flood, Enoch, and he talks about the Watchers, right? As well. But he does
talks
talk
a lot about a lot of stuff. It's great.
Yes, he does. Yeah, it's a great book.
Actually, my original intent when I was writing this article is I wanted to close with the Book of Enoch, because you want to talk about historical UFOs and historical aliens and stuff. That Book of Enoch is chock full of them. But honestly, that's its own podcast episode.
Yeah, it is. And, Luna always talks about it. She's been on all the podcasts that talks about it. Actually, a lot of the congressional people do bring up Enoch. And if the government's doing it, they do have talking points, right? There's a reason why they're bringing up Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're just trying, because it's not really a religious thing. I know it's included in some of the Christian, those are they called cantors? What are they called? When you have all the books. Anyway, it's an Ethiopian Bible, right? They've kept it only officially.
And if anyone wants a decent podcast about the Book of Enoch, I know I always talk about him, but I want his life. I want to do what he does. AJ over on the Y-Files has a really good episode about the book.
Yeah, you do lots of great free advertising for the Y-Files. Although I don't think he needs it anymore, really.
Not anymore.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on from the Alençon incident and go to the Far East. We're going to Japan.
This is such a cool one. One of my
This
favorite
is a really
ones.
cool one. Let me. I don't have the screen. Okay, so yeah, this picture. Hopefully, I'm assuming most people who are interested in this subject know what we're about to talk about. It's and forgive me again, I don't speak Japanese, but the Utsuro-bune.
Oh, Tofo-san.
No, I don't think you could say that. Now it just got racist.
You can't say Tofo-san. Well, that's not racist. That's how they speak in all their shows.
You can't do it in the voice.
Why not?
I don't know.
Oh,
because
the
internet is fickle.
Well,
so this one,
another show.
This one is interesting because it's not a UFO, but instead a USO. So we've gone
Right.
from flying objects to submerged objects. This one, it's on the water, not submerged technically, but it's not a flying ship. That's the.
Right. I mean, do you think it landed and then was floating and then went to the shore, or do you think it came from the bottom?
I think it came from the water because let me go to the description.
I was going back to your article because
its shape was compared to an incense holder or rice bowl, saucer shape, and made of lacquered red rosewood with bronze plates used for protection. As in, you've got bronze plates on there, so if it scrapes up against something in the water, it's protected. That's why I think from the water, right?
Yeah.
That was my thought here.
So wait, was it? Did they say it was metal? You said was it bronze in color or actually bronze metal?
Made of lacquered red rosewood with bronze plates used for protection.
Interesting, bronze plates for protection. What year was this?
It is 1803. So just a few years after the Alençon incident.
Interesting, very interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, because especially once you get to the 1800s, I think some part of humankind is advanced, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say this is because we've had fractional reserve banking. I think it really started in the early 1600s. So you're talking about 200 years of that.
Yeah.
So there could have been some people doing some experiments somehow. But yeah, continue.
Okay, so this boat washed up on shore. Again, rosewood, bronze plates, but what it also had, and as you can see in the picture there, it had portholes. It had several of them, and they were made of glass, apparently. And the fishermen that came across this craft were able to look inside, and what they saw was weird writings on the inside of the walls of the craft, but they could not read any of the text. They did say that one of the symbols that they saw thought it may kind of look like the emblem of Korea, which was used at that time. I have no idea.
This one right here.
What?
This the emblem of Korea, isn't that close to it?
I can't actually see which. Hold on. Oh, that maybe.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
could be. Yeah, I mean, anyway, so inside walls were covered in the text, yada yada yada. There was also equipment inside that could be used for someone like living there. Apparently, there were sheets of cloth like to sleep on. There was food. There was a bottle of water, and there was a woman in there.
No way.
Now, the woman did not look very Japanese at all. Apparently, she had
Mhm.
very pale pink skin, and she had
Okay.
red hair, and the red hair ended in white extensions. And apparently, the white
What?
extensions were said to be made out of animal fur. Now, something
What?
that was really funny in all the research that came across. Every person who authored any of the articles I read all said the same thing. This was not very common fashion at the time.
No, it was not. Yeah, and that is just completely bizarre. So was she basically like a Nordic, right? European, redhead, pale skin.
That's up for you to decide, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. So apparently, they were trying to talk to this woman, figure out who she was, what she wanted. Couldn't figure it out. They
Wait,
couldn't.
sorry. Just so okay, she was inside, obviously.
Yeah.
They saw her inside. So how'd she get out?
There was a hatch on top.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
Yeah. They opened it. She she got out. The fishermen tried to communicate with her for quite a while and couldn't figure it out. And apparently, which is interesting to me, is she couldn't understand them either, right? Aliens, despite us rarely ever being able to understand what their gibberish is, they always seem to be able to understand us, right?
Right.
But lack of communication going both ways here. But the weirdest part of the story is she was carrying this small box, and she was said to be friendly and polite, but just would not let anyone touch or open the box. Don't touch the box. Don't look at the box. Pandora's in here.
Yeah. Like
I
why
know
are they
that.
being so respectful? Just grab it from her.
They're Japanese, man.
Yeah.
So eventually, and the story goes, eventually they just put her back in the boat and pushed her off the shore and let her sail
Oh
away.
my god. So what okay.
It was
Why, guys,
it was
why?
too much to deal with. They were just like, nah, gotta feed my family, gotta catch some fish. I don't know what this side quest is, but I'll let someone else deal with it.
So it's like I guess maybe it's like too much paperwork or too much bureaucracy, right?
Exactly.
They're gonna have to report this. No one's gonna believe them. They're like, hey, listen, lady, just get back in here and you can go.
Just go, man. I don't know. I don't know what you want.
Well, any more details about this? As in, like, did it go under the water? Did it fly, or did they just say they let it go and she went to some other shores? Maybe.
I'll let you guess.
I think it flew.
Well, bad guess. No. So this story, the most original. This is another highly contentious, not contentious, but there's a lot of discussion about this case because there's different endings to this story. I read one where she eventually got on land. They brought her on land and she got married to a local lord. There was a story that I read where inside the box, remember she had the box that she wouldn't allow anyone to open. It was her ex-fiance's head who was killed for some reason, and she was carrying it around as like a memory, to keep his memory alive or something like that. So there's a lot of interesting facets and endings to this story, but the original seems to come from a guy named, forgive me again, listeners, Kiyokute Baken, and he wrote this in a collection of short stories called Toin Shosetsu.
Okay.
And the chapter Utsuro-bune no Banjo, that's where this story comes from. And Utsuro-bune means hollow ship or empty ship.
Hollow ship or empty ship. I love how the images, though, do not depict a redhead or someone who's not Japanese. She definitely looks Japanese,
right?
In a lot of these. What could this be? Just lore, or
could be,
something.
I mean,
bizarre, though.
That's the thing about all of these, right? There's no proof one way or the other. These all could be made up fantasy stories written for children or something by the people of the time.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we had more information on like what was written on there, because it said it wasn't Japanese. It would be
Right.
interesting.
Well, this is why we need the chronovisor.
Yeah, or the Looking Glass, Project
Yeah,
Looking Glass.
there you go. So yeah, I mean, I don't actually know too many super popular USO stories. Do you? Even like modern day ones.
It's no, and the only reason I know any of them is because I read Dolan's book, right? And I don't think any of those. No, there was Christopher Columbus. They saw something when they were coming to the U.S.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I think he included that in there too.
Very interesting, but there has been a recent uptick in interest in USOs, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of that interest can be attributed to the 4chan leak that came out a few years back.
Right. Yeah. We need to do a deep dive into that. I know we've been saying we should, and we haven't. And I think that'll be a good one. Especially that it does relate a lot to what's going on. It does explain a lot also.
It does.
Yeah, and it could be just that someone came up with a great theory how to
Mhm.
explain the phenomenon, and he just made a 4chan out of it.
Yeah, in the write-up for this article, I did include the 4chan leak, a link to the 4chan.
Oh, wait a minute. Should we read it? Link.
Well, here I can sum it up real quick.
Here it is. Seen here, 4chan.
Yeah.
Is this it? This one right here?
Yep. But just to sum it up, because trying to decipher 4chan on this, I don't think is a good use of our time. Basically, there's a giant UFO base or something floating in the ocean. I think they said the Bermuda Triangle, and it 3D prints UAPs depending on what tasks are designed for, and that includes the occupants of the craft. So, if they need a craft that for some reason resembles a cigar, that's the kind of craft they'll make.
Yeah, and it would make sense that it's in the ocean because one, you have all that seawater, which has all the minerals you need as well, and then if it's on the ocean floor, it can, there's lots of material in there they can use to do this. So the construction facility also, the guy said, it destroys anything that comes close to it and will disappear for days when approached aggressively.
Yeah,
the US.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I have to say the U.S. believes the facility has been active on Earth for at least 100 years or much longer.
Yeah, I saw a couple of different responses. If I remember correctly, he basically says they think it's been on Earth for like over 2,000 years, 3,000 years, but it's only been active for 100 or something. It's there's all sorts of information.
Ooh, it's like something activated. It's like, ooh, they got technologically advanced, or they exploded the nuke or something. I mean, it could be something, an artifact left, to protect planets or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah. In that leak, the guy said, that's where the zookeeper theory came from. Is that leak actually?
Oh.
He talks about them, but let's move on to what we're talking about.
Yes, let's talk about and I think continuing over, this was a good one that you had. It's not really USO, but it is in Boston, Massachusetts. Great find, and it is called the first UFO incident, I guess, historically in the United States.
First one documented.
Yes, that's what it is. Document. That's what I meant to say.
So this is the Boston Lightship, and this happened, you guessed it, in Boston or Charleston. Is that just the older name for Boston? I can't.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it's close to Boston or something.
Yeah. Anyway, this happened in 1639, so before the U.S. independence, but while we were colonizing the North American continent.
Right.
So, that picture that you had up there was John Winthrop. He was not the one who saw the UFO, but he documented it. Why did he document it? Because he was the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Not only was he the governor, but he was the founder. It was a place full of Puritans, not pilgrims. I actually figured out that there's a difference between those two while I was doing research.
Oh.
How are they different?
Yeah, how are they different?
Pilgrims they were all Protestants. I'm doing this off the top of my head because I didn't write it down.
Hmm.
They were the whole group. Puritans and Pilgrims were Puritists. Pilgrims wanted to split off and do their own thing because they didn't like what was going on with the Protestant church. Puritans wanted to cleanse the bad doers of the Protestant church and make the Protestant like a better religion.
All right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
highly religious folks, which is why this is a good one. Let me sum it up. James Everell was a Puritan who lived there. He and two of his buddies were rowing a boat up the muddy river, and it's like a barge. I don't know how to describe it. There's probably a picture in that article. Anyway, they were rowing
this
up.
one?
Maybe it might have been the other one. I can't remember.
I think it's another one. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Anyway, they were rowing this boat up the river when they saw this flash of light, and the light bounced in between them and Charleston, which was about a mile and a half, 2 miles away. 2 miles away, kept going back, bouncing back, forth. And after they watched it for a while, they were like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And they were like way further down the river than they should have been, and they had no recollection of how they got there. So here we are. We got a classic tale. We've got a light in the sky, not acting like a light. We've got missing time, and we've got sober religious men witnessing this.
Wow.
I'll read the journal entry that Winthrop wrote. So they came back and reported this to John Winthrop, and he wrote this in his journal.
Yeah.
In this year one, James Everell, a sober, discreet man, and two others saw a great light in the night at Muddy River. Muddy River is still around, by the way. It just flows around Boston. When it stood still, it flamed up and was about 3 yards square. When it ran, it was contracted into the figure of a swine. Now, I don't know, is swine like a pig?
How does that make any sense?
It doesn't. That's why I'm kind of questioning that. Anyway, it changed shape as it moved. I think what he's trying to describe is that like it was an orb when it was still, and then it got thin and narrow, right, as it moved, I think. Anyway, back to the quote. It ran swift as an arrow toward Charleston, and up and down for about 2 or 3 hours. They were come down in their lighter, a small barge, about a mile, and when it was over, they found themselves carried quite back against the tide to the place they came from. Diverse other persons saw the same light after about the same place. I didn't include it in this here, but the information of them not knowing how they got there, the other witnesses are mentioned in other sources.
He was a sober, discreet man.
Yeah. And again, remember, these are highly religious people. And another thing is that John Winthrop, very serious man. This journal entry is sandwiched in between him talking about his struggles with trying to keep all the people, keep his colony set up in a good way.
I wonder if they were abducted, huh? Because it says here, according to Winthrop's account, as the men watched the light event, they were, quote, they were come down in their light boat about a mile, pushed by the tide. Yet when the light vanished, the men realized their boat had returned to its original location.
Yeah.
They had no memory of rowing against the tide. So, yeah, it does seem like, you think they were abducted?
It could have been. I mean, what I compared it to, and because it was fresh in my mind as I was writing this, is the Kelly Cahill. And I mean, Betty and Barney Hill had the same thing happen to them, where they see lights in the sky, and then all of a sudden they're in a different place, and it's been a significant amount of time. Now, with modern technology and the culture of being like, hey, let's figure out what happened, they go, okay, let's put you under hypnosis, therapy, whatever, and to figure out what happened in that blank space in between. Back then, of course, this is early stages. It's not even America yet. It's a colony where they're not taking things. I don't know if it's not taking it seriously or assuming it's divine intervention, or it's just at the time you shrug it off and go, yeah, that was a weird thing that happened to me, but I'm not going to talk about it or think about it because I got to think about how I'm going to eat tonight.
Man, I think this I agree with you there. The problems people had, I mean, they didn't have a life of luxury or convenience like we do.
Exactly.
But this land, I think, has been always mysterious, right? And something's been here before, the Europeans came, for sure.
And I think even just the east part of the country, like there are so many good stories, like, and especially like in the Northeast, in the swamplands, not in the Northeast, but close. Like the Jersey Devil, like all that stuff comes out of old stories of Eastern America.
Yeah, Sasquatch even, right? That when did Chupacabra show up? That was like 1 year, right? I think that was probably a hoax, the whole Chupacabra thing.
I thought that
'Cause
was like Puerto Rico or something.
oh, was it? It wasn't. Oh yeah. I thought it was near Mexico, like Texas and those
Yeah,
places.
it also could have been that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I said, you've got credible witnesses. I don't know anything about the two witnesses on the boat with James Everell, but Everell was said to be, sober, discreet man. That's in about every article you can find about this story.
I wish these guys gave like some interpretation of it, because them being religious, you'd think
Yeah.
they would to have some interpretation, right? Some maybe religious interpretation, or it was a sign of some point, or I don't know. Like, what was it trying to nudge them to do? Like they were just
No.
working the land and.
Again, man, you're trying to understand what the aliens want, and I think that's a fool's game because we can't.
Well, I'm a big pictures guy, and it's just and if they're trying to nudge, I wish we knew more information what they were trying to do, right? What were they? So they were trying to influence something. It looks like
straight up. What if it's as stupid as this? What if they showed up for these people to see this, so we could talk about it on this podcast a couple hundred years later?
Oh yeah, there you go. That makes sense too. I'm game for that as well.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what the plan is? I mean,
maybe us needing the content for our show created that situation in the past, and
yeah, exactly.
we created our own content
for
this event.
Yeah.
Oh, what a universe! It's total simulation.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a really fun case. I think if anything like that had happened today, all of the UFO research groups would be all over it. You've got multiple witnesses, missing time, lights in the sky,
sober, religious, like they're not like just some kooks. They don't want to get any attention or anything like that.
Now, for some of these, including this one, I have to look at the debunking of it. Now, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I say this. The main theory for debunking this case. Swamp gas.
What?
Swamp gas.
So the swamp gas also moved the boat back to its original location, right?
And flew up in the air back and forth between a town a mile and a half away. Swamp gas.
Well, I'm so happy that doesn't work anymore. I think on most people.
I hope not. So I saw what you got queued up next, and I just want to give a quick intro before you play it.
Do it.
I think it's a great way to start this next section. Most people have heard about this case before. The UFO battle over Nuremberg, Germany in 1561.
Yeah, I love this one.
Now, we finally have a video to play. Listeners and viewers, hopefully you're viewing. If you're not, switch to a platform or a spot where you can view this. I want you to put yourselves in the shoes of a German peasant or just town folk in the 1500s at 4 or 5 in the morning, and picture this in your head, seeing this in your head, and what you might think.
In the morning of April 14th, 1561, at daybreak between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun. And then this was seen in Nuremberg, in the city, before the gates and in the country, by many men and women. At first there appeared in the middle of the sun 2 blood-red semicircular arcs, just like the moon in its last quarter. And in the sun, above and below on both sides, the colour was blood. There stood a round ball of partly dull, partly black ferrous colour. Likewise there stood on both sides, and as a torus about the sun, such blood-red ones, and other balls in large number, about 3 in a line and 4 in a square, also some alone. In between these globes there were visible a few blood-red crosses, between which there were blood-red strips, becoming thicker to the rear, and in the front malleable like the rods of reed grass, which were intermingled. Among them 2 big rods, one on the right, the other to the left, and within the small and big rods there were 3, also 4 and more globes. These all started to fight among themselves, so that the globes which were first in the sun flew out to the ones standing on both sides. Thereafter, the globes standing outside the sun, in the small and large rods, flew into the sun. Besides, the globes flew back and forth among themselves and fought vehemently with each other for over an hour. And when the conflict in and again out of the sun was most intense, they became fatigued to such an extent that they all, as said above, fell from the sun down upon the earth as if they all burned, and then they wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black spear, very long and thick, sighted, The shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows.
Holy crap, that was so good.
It's just absolutely
What a nightmare.
terrifying.
What?
Terrifying.
Yeah. I mean,
and
it makes no sense.
This is a highly religious time period. How else could you possibly interpret this as some sort of religious event? And you go, oh, God is angry. I don't know about what, but God is pissed. Like, how else are you supposed to look at that?
I don't know. And then it's like they were fighting, and then someone stopped them, and that was that final rod that came down, right? Because it dissipated everyone. It's like it's like angels fighting each other or something, and then God's like, "Hey, stop it," kind of thing, and then
or it's like you and your brother in a scuffle, and then Dad walks in the room.
Right?
Go, nothing. We weren't doing anything. I speak from experience.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now this one. This is great. So it's at least he is religious. They're talking about God and his wrath, but it's one man. Really, he said for an hour, which means the whole city must have seen this. Do we know if the whole city saw this?
They did.
All right. So this is insane.
Well, I'm sorry. It was seen by many men and women.
Okay. I mean, yes.
Interpret that how you will.
Right.
But very scary stuff. But what's interesting to me is, like you pointed out at the end, they all come to the ground and like they crashed, and there's smoke. And I really, really think someone had to have gone out there to try and like figure out like what crashed out here. Let's grab some of this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like I pointed out in the article, it's likely if anything's from this survived, it's in the Vatican archives.
Absolutely, it totally is. That would be something people should target. That one, we need to find out what that thing was, what that event was.
But again, it's just why? What is this and why?
I think it's obviously a war. It just seems like a battle. It has nothing to do with us. It has to be over this planet. That's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds, from the information we have, that sounds like what happened. But it's just, we haven't seen anything in recent times like this that we have to compare notes on.
No, I mean not in recent times. I would say the only thing that's similar is what the Hindus have in the Mahabharata, right? Because they had wars in the sky that gods were fighting each other. And they say that basically it was like Star Wars, at least in their books, that's what it showed.
Mm-hmm. Now, the most common debunking of this is that the people of Nuremberg saw sundogs. Do you know what sundogs are?
No.
Sundogs are when...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
When the sun's light reflects off of ice crystals in the sky, it creates kind of a... weird illusion. You can actually, I have a link to it in the article. So
is that the one that shows like basically here what it's showing? Like it's like around the sun, that one?
It looks similar to this.
Halo.
Right.
Here's a great visualization. Oh, sundogs here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen those. That's not what these people are talking about.
Right. Now, just based on this painting, I can kind of see the similarities, but none of the rest of the story adds up to anything with sundogs. So
that's what debunkers do, though.
Right. And in the article I've got, to be fair to debunkers, except you, Philip Klass, rest in piss, I can see similarities between the still photos of sundogs and the original description of the sun artifacts. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah. No problem. Oh, look at this one too. I mean, yeah, I see this all the time here as well.
Yeah, you can see similarities, but the rest of the event does not seem to fit at all with the excuse of sundogs. Sundogs won't show orbs and bloody crosses and cigars and a giant arrow flying through the air.
Right. No, it won't. It definitely doesn't show people. Orbs and crosses and fighting and that thing that came at the end, once it was all done.
Yeah, the Star Destroyer from Star Wars showed up.
Right, exactly.
Now, what's so great about this event, like I said, we don't have anything modern to relate to it because it only happened that one single time. Oh, wait, no, it didn't happen again. 5 years later in Basel, Switzerland, so 1566, something very similar happened.
Oh yes, let's go to
Yeah.
it must. Oh, so all right, that's right. I mean, this shows proof that something was going on. I mean, unless they're resetting the simulation, upgrading the simulation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like in the Matrix when he sees the black
right,
cat.
exactly. Yes.
So very interesting. So Basel, if you pull up, you don't have to do it, but if you pull up Basel, Switzerland on a map and look at it compared to Nuremberg, Germany, they're fairly close to each other. Obviously,
Oh yeah, I mean, Switzerland
in-
is close to Germany. Yeah.
yeah, but Basel's on the northern border, and Nuremberg is on the eastern border of Germany. And it's just so Basel's directly southwest from Nuremberg. But let me read what happened in Basel because it sounds really familiar, but there is some extra added stuff. So here's if you pull up that picture of Basel. I think it's on the top. Yeah. So that's only half of the image. It's kind of like the image of Nuremberg, where it's what it was is imagine a full page in a newspaper, right? The top half is this picture, and then the written part is below it.
Okay.
And so here's the written part that is below this picture that you've got up on the screen. It happened in 1566 3 times, on 27 and 28 of July, and on August 7, against the sunrise and sunset. We saw strange shapes in the sky above Basel. During the year 1566, on the 27th of July, after the sun had shone warm on the clear, bright skies, and then around 9 p.m., it suddenly took a different shape and color. It's a vermilion, which is like a cinnamon color. Mm-hmm. First, the sun lost all its radiance and luster, and it was no bigger than the full moon. And finally, it seemed to weep tears of blood, and the air behind him, the sun, went dark. And he was seen by all the people of the city and the countryside. In much the same way, also the moon, which has already been almost full and has shone through the night, assuming an almost blood red color in the sky. The next day, Sunday, the sun rose at about 6 o'clock and slept with the same appearance as it had when it was lying before. He lit the houses, streets, and around as if everything was blood red and fiery. On the dawn of August 7th, so a week later, we saw large black spheres coming and going with great speed and precision before the sun, and chattered as if they led a fight. Many of them were fiery and red, and soon crumbled and then extinguished. So very, very similar to Nuremberg.
Yeah, very, very similar.
Now, I pointed this out in the article. I thought it'd be a good point to touch on here. These sound really similar, but we are comparing one source to one source in these two different regions at two different times.
Right.
I think it's possible that they were even closer. They could have been the exact same thing that these both saw, but because we've only got the one point of view from each, sounds like we're missing some overlap, right? I mean, it's just too similar for them not to be.
It is too similar, and I didn't know about this Basel one. And yeah, geographies are close. What happened in the sky is very close as well. The whole battle, and then it gets extinguished, right? Like nothing's going on. It did have some different things, like the blood and the red.
Yeah, well, yes, it did. And so what Basel was experiencing, or Basel, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
what they're experiencing were weird sunsets and lunar eclipse and all this other stuff. But I think that could have happened in Nuremberg. It's just the guy who wrote it, maybe he didn't witness that part, or he didn't include it because he didn't think it was related. I mean, I think it's possible that these could have been even more similar.
What does this guy say? At the time, many believe the phenomenon symbolized the need of the Swiss to not only seek repentance, but also help from God against the looming Ottoman threat.
This article, he's not necessarily a debunker, but he's providing, if you read that article, he talks about how there was a lot of religious animosity going on with the church, and people weren't sure what to believe, and yada, yada, yada. And he thinks it's an allegory for people trying to understand, what the hell's going on with our religion.
Interesting. An allegory instead of a report. I mean, yeah, that kind of debunkers kind of do that though. That's what they say. Like, oh, that's not a real event. That was just Right. And they even people, when they talk about scripture, they say the same thing. Oh, this is just you know, it's not a real event that they're telling you happened.
Yeah. So listeners, again, form your own opinions. Don't listen to my dumb thoughts. Do your own research. But it's tough researching things like this. Like I said at the very top, hard to research and hard to understand because how little of a source we do have for all of these.
I mean, you would love to go to like the original sources, right, and libraries and stuff like that. That would be that's real research. But you need time, you need effort, and you need funding for that. So if people would like us to do that, make this show take off, and we can. We can do some real research, not just what's on the internet or what's indexed on the internet.
Exactly.
As well. I mean, there's stuff. There's so many. The indexed internet is only like 15% of the internet. The rest of it is the dark web.
Yep.
It's not indexed by Google.
Correct.
And if you try to get into that, I'm sure you'll be put on a list ASAP. Right.
Right. Exactly.
These two events were very cool. So Nuremberg and Basel, Switzerland, 6 years apart, apparently.
Yeah.
Right.
6 years apart and just hundreds of miles. It's too coincidental for them not to be related, in my opinion.
Right. No. Yeah. Agreed. And then another good one.
This is
the sky ship.
Yeah. So I referenced this a couple times earlier in the episode, but let's finally get to it. It's our last major one that we're going to cover. The Cloera sky ship in Ireland, and it's been traced back to 956 AD. So we've talked about UAPs, UFOs, flying aircraft, right? And we've talked about one USO, submerged object, object on the ocean. And I want to talk now about something in between. Sea craft that flies through the air. So this one comes from ancient legend of Ireland, and it's definitely out there. It's bizarre, not just because of the encounter I'm about to describe, but also because apparently it's not a reference to anything religious or cultural.
Nice.
Someone just wrote it as like, this is a weird thing that happened.
Huh.
So this legend, it's been tracked, like I said, back to Ireland, but it was it morphed and changed. And English people wrote about it as if it was their own, but this seems to be the most original we can get it. And it's not long. I'll read it right now. There happened in the borough of Cloera one Sunday while the people were at Mass a marvel. In this town is a church dedicated to Saint Canaris. It befell that an anchor was dropped from the sky with a rope attached to it, and one of the flukes caught in the arch above the church door. The people rushed out of the church and saw in the sky a ship with men on board floating before the anchor cable. And they saw a man leap overboard and jump down to the anchor as if to release it.
Oh my God.
He looked as if he were swimming in water. The folk rushed up and tried to seize him, but the bishop forbade the people to hold the man, for it might kill him, he said. The man was freed and hurried up to the ship, where the crew cut the rope, and the ship sailed out of sight. But the anchor is in the church and has been there ever since as a testimony.
What?
Now that was written in
9 something AD, right?
No, see, that was written in, I believe, 1210 by Gervase of Tilbury. And
1210.
Well, so the legend comes from 956. He wrote about that and archived it in 1210. And
damn, man. Now, could this have been just mythology that church made up just so, they had some anchor that they had in the church and they just...
Yeah, of course. But it's like I said earlier, all of these.
Yeah. But then it's strange also because it talks about, in scripture, I think all of them, the Abrahamic scriptures, it talks about God separating the waters, right? Mm-hmm. And in creation, and when he separated the waters, that created this realm here, and then created space. So, it's kind of talks about that. These people they were in the sky, but they were swimming.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, your mic's making that noise. Wait, do you hear it?
No.
Yeah, it's going.
Well, I don't really know what to do about it. I'm just sitting here. So there's two different ways that I look at this. One is that this is a honest to God UFO, right? And just because the people back then didn't have the context, this is the form it ended up taking, or this is how it was interpreted by the people who saw it, because they didn't have Zeppelins then, right? So it's either that, or, and I think this is even goofier and more fun. Everyone's talking about portals and wormholes and all this stuff now. What if some boat, some ship, maybe even like a military ship, actually went through a wormhole, but instead of showing up in the water in the same place, they ended up in like kind of a midway point, and we're in the air trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Maybe it was the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, maybe they think they're just going through a really foggy patch when it turns out they're in 956 AD floating through the sky, and the captain calls, "Hey, throw an anchor out so we can stop and figure out where we are." And instead it latches on this church, and so these people are actually swimming in water, but they're also at the same time halfway.
Yeah.
956.
Yeah. That's not crazy at all, dude. I think that's very high. That's a high possibility, especially when you're dealing with these types of technologies or portals, like you said. And time and space are interconnected across timelines, is what we're now learning. So it's very plausible. People, and in the Wi-Fi's as well, he does a great episode on that, on people that just show up in different timelines, just walking. All of a sudden they're like,
how the hell did I get here? Where am I?
Yeah, exactly.
So that
really
wraps
bizarre.
up all of the historical interactions with UFOs that I wanted to touch on. And I want to read my conclusion here because I don't know a better way to wrap this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what conclusions to draw from these events. History is weird. Aliens and UAPs have been here as long as, if not longer than we have. Is it foolish to discredit and disavow those who question quote unquote facts? Or is it just simply don't trust what you read on the internet? I'll admit some of these events have more credence than others, but that hasn't stopped people from creating careers out of speculation and using little evidence to support their theories. And I'm looking at you, Ancient Aliens, crazy hair guy, Giorgio. But honestly, I do prefer when people get to speculate and ask questions. One of my biggest pet peeves in science and research is when a long-term theory is presented as fact. It's not. And that happens way more than you think. Plus, I absolutely cannot stand the gatekeepers in history and science fields, especially when it comes to discussing things that happened hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. Despite what you may think, they weren't there. Much of what is considered, in quotes, fact today is simply speculation. For instance, did you know that an asteroid impact killed off the dinosaurs hypothesis was considered a fringe theory until the 1980s? I did not know that. I thought that was considered fact for a very long time, but just since the 80s. Now, if we weren't allowed to question the facts or question the science, we'd be stuck in the Bronze Age. It takes trials, errors, and tribulations of the radical wackos to push us as a society. So speculate. Go do your own research and don't let experts tell you what to think. Follow the scientific method we were taught as kids. Gather knowledge through any method you can, observe, ask a question, create a hypothesis, test your theories, gather data, analyze your results, and share your conclusions. Studying history and UAPs makes this extremely difficult, of course, but don't let that stop you. Go out, cram your brain, talk with others, and write a blog post or something. Maybe start a podcast. Wink, wink. And yeah, historical UFOs are one of my favorite topics. It was definitely fun to research and write about, and hopefully it was fun for the listeners. But if you want a more in-depth look as to what we were talking about today, go to my Substack, Topher LS, so you can read the whole 20 pages and click on all the fun links.
No, it's a quick read. I mean, it's an easy read. I'm not gonna say it's a quick read. It's an easy read. So it doesn't really feel like 20 pages, that's for sure.
Right.
Man, what is up with the internet today?
I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on with the microphone.
It's really bad.
Yeah, humans are incredible creatures, and we witness amazing things and record them. So don't be ashamed of your blurry night footage of the glowing orb that you post online. Maybe in a few hundred years, someone will be writing about you too.
Nice, man. Very nice. And, there's also been so many UFOs in paintings, ancient paintings as well.
Yeah.
So people should.
Yeah, that could have been its own. It could have been its own thing. When I was looking for historical UFOs to talk about, I came across this painting, for example. I came across a lot of them, and they're great. They really are. But there's no There's
No,
no,
I know. That's why I bring it at the end here, just like without
there's
context, really.
there's nothing to write about. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to read my description of a painting. They could just go look at the painting. But then there's no, it's kind of like the first one we talked about. There's no context to it. A UFO was there. Yep, that's it.
Right. But it's weird that these artists would depict that, but not really, because these religions are called sky religions. These books come from the sky, so it's not strange that they would depict things in the sky happening, because they're all over everywhere. So, and maybe that's just how humanity is. We look up, right? I don't think there's many animals that look up. Apes, monkeys, I think sometimes do. Some birds do, but not in contemplation like us. They don't look at the stars and then really understand their place in it like we do. So it could be that fascination with that we have. Man, this is something else. My internet, I don't get it. We've never had this problem before. It's really bad.
That's all right.
Like,
now,
what is this, dial up?
I can see it loading. I don't know why it's not like actually playing.
It's loading, yeah. Right.
I think YouTube has been having issues recently. I think that's probably what it is.
Oh yeah, that's true. It has. I had to when I went to my main account, nothing showed up. I had to go to my subscriptions and like reset it that way. But look at that. It won't even buffer. Yeah, they're having big issues. Vlad, what? He had the UFO over his house? You're kidding me. Dracula had a UFO. What?
They seem to be interested in important people.
He was such a sicko. I wrote a research paper about him in college. He was so disgusting.
They didn't call him Vlad the Impaler for nothing.
Yeah, I know. And no one invaded him because he was just horrific.
Yeah, well, he created a forest out of dead bodies impaled on poles that he put outside his castle.
So disturbing. But yeah, that's how he kept everyone out. They're like, if you even come here, you will look like this. This is your future.
I mean, it's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, it is a pretty good strategy. Well, good, man. That was nice. Hour and a half. I guess quickly, let's discuss what's going on with Mr. Trump.
Well, before we do that, there was an article that came out recently that you found, and I've seen recently, about the skeletons. You want to talk about that?
What skeletons? I'm sorry.
They found 400-year-old reptilian skeletons or something.
Oh yes, that's right. And that was right before Trump. Oh, there's that noise again. 1 second. I'm gonna pause it. Yeah, these guys. So I don't know who the podcaster is. He's an ex-Marine, and this guy he's a pretty big. Well, not big contractor, but he's a contractor, a pretty big contractor for logistics for the United States government. Now, there's a site, a church in Mexico that had remains of reptilian beings, right? It was a church that was built on top of this crash site, they're calling it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And yeah, and this guy was sent over there. He's a U.S. contractor. He thinks he was sent because he's just disposable, because apparently a lot of people have died going there. Okay.
Wow. Oh, boy.
And the Chinese got there first.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and the Mexican government is basically they gave it to the highest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty interesting, huh? So yeah, this is on Ross Coulthard. He introduces them all. There's the images of them. Whoa. And he's saying they're huge. He said they're 7 feet tall, these things.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything if you can.
Oh, so okay, what?
Looking at, because I couldn't even comprehend it. It was one of these things where I'm a realist at the end of the day, and I was trying to make sense of what I was seeing, and I didn't believe that, this asset could be in this particular location, and why haven't they until now? Why haven't they? What am I doing there? All the things, right? It's way above my pay grade. I knew that I had outpunted the coverage, as they say, on this one.
Okay, so we've got an image that we've put up here of what appear to be two skeletal remains. They're clearly not human. If we believe what you've been told about these remains, they date right back to the 1600s.
Correct.
Talk me through what we're looking at here. They appear to be non-human. Talk me through what you're looking at.
I'll move back to the original carving stone. That was one of the first objects that was identified. And that particular stone had a reference of two skeletal looking beings, and one was stabbing the other on this stone. And then that stone was actually date stamped back in the 1632-34 range.
Wow.
Then that leads me to the skeletal remains that were found secondarily. And then you put that, and I go back to this because it was carved in stone. It resembles the artifacts that I found as skeletal remains. And then subsequently, anyway, I was trying to process all of the information as it came together. And subsequently that led me to a place of saying, well, this isn't us. This isn't human. This didn't even date back. The Mayans were basically carving something at that time, or the indigenous on the ground at that time, basically put something in stone. And there were a bunch of other artifacts like that as well. But this one particularly, as it referenced the skeletal remains versus the object in the stone. It was actually kind of I want to put this, it was mildly concerning. That's probably a good way to put it.
Mildly concerning.
Mildly concerning. What is he? What is he? A mafioso, mob boss, or something?
I was gonna say that's putting it lightly.
So, and this is a great interview, and it's crazy because this happened when this came out. I was like, what the hell, man? I can't believe we're talking about this just out in the open. Like, why is this guy talking about this? And then Trump comes out, and then the whole Obama Trump thing happens.
Oh my God!
Seriously, the next day, right after this, because I'm like, this is disclosure. This guy's talking about 7-foot beings that he went out and he went and grabbed these things. He was working for Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and this is a long clip, but I'm just summarizing it because there's no way I can find exactly what he's saying, right. Where it is. But he's working for Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They were warning him. They were monitoring him through his phone and through wearables that he has, his heartbeat and stuff like that. They're like, wait a minute, stop. Are you getting near a portal or something? And he's like, seriously, they were saying that to him. And he's like,
whoa.
He's like, what? He's like, no. He's like, it's just really weird that I'm seeing these beings here. It's not normal. Of course, I'm going to have elevated heart rate and stuff like that. They're like, no, stop. So I guess, I don't know. He doesn't know what happened to the people before him that died, but maybe they went into a portal or something.
Whoa.
It's so weird. Yes.
That is weird. That's cool as hell, though.
Yeah, man, and these two did a podcast by themselves. Actually, that might be a better podcast because here they're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? Resilient Show. That's right. But he actually links them. How come I can't see it? Dude, what is going on? Anyway, let's see if he says anything else.
I can imagine it was a huge.
I thought was super compelling as TW breaks down the history of this. This wasn't just bones like found in a pile of rubble. This was, the locals, when these crashes, the story goes in the 1600s, they had these crashes, all these anomalies begin to happen. The locals built churches on top of the crash sites, thinking that their religious buildings would protect them. And so these buildings have been there for hundreds of years. And so when they begin the excavation, they didn't just start digging in some dirt that someone could have threw some manufactured skeletons in. They had to bust through concrete and get into a cave system that had been there for a long time. So if this was some kind of hoax, it would have been a hoax that was in hundreds of years in the making.
It would have been a production for sure. Yes.
When you found the skeletons, TW, were they buried in soil or were they just lying in a sarcophagus? How were they presented?
They were actually in a cave system underneath that church that Chad referenced. And you can look at the original photo of the unearthing of the entrance into the cave system. You can see where they actually concreted over that original entrance to kind of encapsulate that moment. But inside of the cave system was a natural cavern system. And that's where the artifacts were found, was in the cave system itself.
You know what's crazy about this? When we interviewed Bruce Fenton, he talked about his wife, and his wife used to have past experiences, and she talks about that, and that she was in South America, and that she was living back then in South America, and that that the Mayans were living with extraterrestrials, but the extraterrestrials were underground. So that's really crazy. I'm going to send that to him.
Yeah, you should.
It kind of proves that, I mean, obviously we believe her and he does as well, but this is a data point, for anyone, rejecting what her experiences. It's
exactly.
nuts.
Yeah.
Such a I mean, and not many people are talking about this.
No, they're not.
It came and left.
I think it's one of those things is like, it's just so out there that most people would look at this and go, oh no, they're faking it or whatever, like without digging any deeper, because it's just so weird.
It is. And it makes sense that back then when a crash happens like this, that they'll build a church over it to protect themselves, because they probably thought it was demonic or something like that. Especially that these were reptilians, right? 7 foot tall reptilians.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know.
It's like one of the last groups you want to mess around with.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we have reptilians being real, like what the fuck is going on, people? You know,
man, that's crazy.
But yeah, great interview. I would definitely, and I suggest watching the interview with the Resilient podcast as well. He's really into this subject. He's got connections to all these contractors and military guys, which is cool. That's what you need.
Yeah.
To bring this stuff out. But it's just strange how they have no security, or it's not classified. Like, what the hell is that all about?
Something got screwed up there, or this is part of how they're going to do disclosure. I don't know.
Yes.
Like, there's got to be an agenda, right?
I think there is. And that's why, we have Obama that comes out on a podcast that says that aliens are real. He has not seen them, or he's not seen the evidence, but he probably got a briefing, right? And then he goes, but they're not under Area 51. And
well, no, you got to say it right. They're not under,
what do you call it?
What do you call it? Yeah, right.
What do you call it? Yeah, and of course, Trump then gets asked about it, and it sounds coordinated, because Trump first of all says, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about," and then Ducey continues. He says, "Well, he says aliens are real." He goes, "Well, that's classified. He shouldn't have said that, right?"
Yeah, that's like, oh man, I wish the press would question him more, because he'll just continue to incriminate himself like that.
Yeah, it's so stupid. This is what he said. He goes, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified flying objects. So he put UFOs in there as well.
Yeah, he's working hard. He wants to leave a legacy, and it doesn't look like Greenland's going to happen, or Iceland, or whatever it was. So now he's going to be the UAP president.
Top Goy, someone put. Where is it? Obama, aliens. People should hear this. It's really quick, and he did backtrack on it as well. It's not like right. He goes, "Oh, I was just going in the spirit of the conversation." Yeah. So it seems very coordinated.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51.
What is it?
There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Oh, please.
Are aliens real?
They're real.
So yeah, like you said, he's like, what do you call it?
Yeah, I don't buy anything he said there. It's all to make people look stupid, right? Obama's seen as this smart, well-spoken guy who would never lie to the American public, right? And so he gets to continue pushing the agenda that, I never knew about aliens and UFOs. There's got to be. And then he pretends like it's so stupid that there would be some secret cabal that would keep secrets from the president, when we know that's true.
Oh yeah, of course, exactly. And so does Trump know it's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what does Trump say here? This is Peter Ducey.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, if the president can declassify anything that he wants to,
Well,
so if you
maybe I'll
want to
get him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
I
Hey.
may get him out of trouble for declassifying.
Actually, good on Ducey there. He tricked him into.
He did.
He goaded him into doing this.
Dude, he is the best when it comes with Trump. No one's better than him asking Trump what's going on, right? And just egging him on. So it's Peter Ducey got us disclosure, right?
Yeah, hopefully. It's like my mom texted me when she saw this. She go, Trump's going to release all this stuff. I go, I'll believe it when I see it. What I think is going to happen is they're going to release a file that says Iran is responsible for UAPs, and we have to go invade immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is we have all the document when it comes to UFOs. I mean, it's not like JFK as well. They did have a lot of stuff, but like when it comes to UFOs, a lot of the documents, the people have been going after it since the 70s, since FOIA first came out, right? And they sued the NSA, they sued the CIA. It went to courts, it went up to the Supreme Court, and so a lot of these documents we have redacted. So if those just get unredacted, that is a huge amount of information that are still redacted to this day. And even I remember there's this huge thing that a judge went in and he saw all the unredacted stuff and he's like, nope, we can't release this. Like stuff like that. Those files, right? So I'm hoping at least those,
Well, now I'll say this as well. Why
unless it implicates Israel, of course, then it's not going to be unredacted.
So it kind of relates to that. Epstein files were legally required to be released unredacted. We haven't gotten those yet.
Well, I mean, yes. Wait, we haven't gotten 3 million of them. I mean,
we haven't got the unredacted files that put everyone who's guilty, gotten everyone in trouble.
I mean, there's a list out there from the DOJ. I mean, you're right. Originally, it was like that, but remember, after we made fun of Bondi, the next day she released all that stuff with the list too as well. And they went after Lex Wexner. It's not like they're going to do anything to him, but I'm saying
they didn't go after Lex Wexner. They just interviewed him. That's not going after him.
Fine. I mean, I said the wrong word.
I mean, as long as he's not in jail, as long as any of these people are still free, then as far as I'm concerned, they've done nothing. Right.
Anyway, I remain positive about the UFO thing because it's a different animal in a way. It's not really. The only ones people who get in trouble are the military contractors, or not even them. Actually, it's not their fault. The U.S. government gave them those material and information. But what he's talking about is extraterrestrial life, and then UFO. He's not saying anything about technology. So as long as technology is not in there, stuff will come out. I mean, they will say extraterrestrials are real. I don't think they're going to say that'd be such a waste, dude. If it comes out and it's like Arrow, oh, we have no evidence of extraterrestrial life.
But this is my point. I can't figure out why you're so hopeful for this. I mean,
I'm always hopeful. That's just me. That's just me, dude. It'll never change.
They keep doing the same thing over and over again with releasing, the JFK report, releasing the Epstein files. Remember like 2017? Oh,
I mean, the Epstein files is pretty big, dude. Do you think there's not information that came out?
Yeah, of course there's a lot of information, but guess
what?
Lot. Most of it is still redacted.
Yeah, fine, but still,
but that's not
behind the veil, dude.
Right?
If people aren't going to jail, so what?
Dude,
that's
dude. So when they start releasing the UAP files and it's just a bunch of black squares, are you going to be celebrating?
No, I'm not going to be celebrating because it won't be black squares. I'm telling you that we know what to unredact, right? And we have people that be working on it. I mean, I'm not. Of course, I would be celebrating for that. Why? So why would I celebrate that?
But that's what
being
we're hopeful.
About. Being hopeful doesn't mean I'm going to celebrate something that's not going to happen, right? But being hopeful means I want that stuff to happen.
Yeah, of course, we all do.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So being hopeful is not a bad thing.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be
fine, and you can have that. You can say that. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to agree with you.
All right.
Yeah. That's what makes it the show.
Sure.
Yeah. So yes, I'm going to stay hopeful, and all I want is I don't care about the technology. I mean, I do. That's not coming out for sure. 100%. That will never come out. but at least that there's something else out there, right? That there's other than just humans. That needs to change. That will change humanity. It will make us a different species. That it's not just us. I think the way we are, why we're so violent, there's so much hatred, why there's so much war and conquest and whatever, is because we just think it's us and there's nothing else out there, and it ruins the psyche when that happens. So at least hopefully that will come out. If it doesn't, then man, why the hell are we in this system, right? I should just go on an island.
Well, you just stay away from certain islands. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Especially Epstein's.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a crazy few days, and Iran is probably going to happen tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Yes, I know. It's not looking good.
I know. I mean, they just put out some videos of them shooting their new missiles, Navy missiles, and we have 3 aircraft carriers there. So could you imagine just nuking that?
Oh boy.
I mean, not nuking it, but sinking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll nuke them, or Israel will nuke them, and it's just going to get worse than that. And we have fallout.
And then complete the prophecy.
Complete the prophecy. Yeah, take over the Middle East, build the 3rd temple.
Yeah. Well, and then we get what did Bledsoe say? The red sun facing the Sphinx or whatever, and then the Chamber of Knowledge will be opened.
Oh yeah, yeah. In April, I think that happens in April.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is just coming up, just 1 month around the corner.
Right around the corner.
I mean, we'll see what Bledsoe says. He kind of backtracked remember we put it on the show.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he backtracked. He's saying, well, actually, it might be in November.
I think he said October 7th was the one, or that's what they closed with. I can't remember, but yeah.
Oh, on the Y files, he said October.
Yes. Yeah.
Did he seriously say October 7th?
I think that's what he said. Yeah.
That date, like
look, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Yeah.
Well, October 7th, we know what happened October 7th, 2023. So that's a strange date.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool, man. Well, we almost got to 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it's perfect timing. We couldn't have gone much longer. Yeah, we covered a lot today. I hope all of you listening enjoyed it. I know, sorry if it seemed a little dry. Like I said, we don't have the video capabilities quite yet to reproduce some of the stuff we were talking about today. I mean, maybe we could plug it into AI and get some good stuff out of there. But truthfully, I think
we should definitely work on just making your article into a video. Yeah. With your voiceover, and then we can have animation with AI with each of those events being depicted. It could be done.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. It's just I've been playing around with the AI video software a lot, and I can never get it to do exactly what I want. It's always like close, but not. Maybe I just don't know how to describe properly in my.
Yeah, and I think you need like storyboards if you want to do it like consistent or something like if you. I did save Tupacabra's X post that he did because he does explain how he does it.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. So if you do it that way, I'll bet you it'll do mostly what you want. Maybe not everything you want.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would definitely be very cool to put that together. And I've got some time here, so maybe that'll be something I work on this week.
Nice. And also I think wasn't Sid working on a video as well? Or no, he did some shorts.
Yeah, he was doing some great marketing for us. He clipped a bunch of our short. He made a bunch of short clips from the last episode and has made a separate YouTube channel for himself where he's uploading those, and that's great. I'd love to see it.
That's awesome, man.
Really appreciate all of the support we've gotten from Bitcoin Live and everything they've done to help us out.
Yeah, last week's episode did pretty well.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I mean, it's Epstein. People love that, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say we were talking about Epstein, so low hanging fruit to get views, but it's never low hanging fruit when you're trying to create a successful podcast.
So, do you think because Bledsoe keeps talking about Iran and Israel and that these orbs are going to come in and save the day, and do you think anyone's going to come save the day?
No, I know that's what he says the aliens told him they were going to do, but I just think. I think if you are a species, it doesn't actually help to
Yeah.
like go and save another species. You know what I mean? Like you have to, it's like you can't force someone to grow. They have to grow themselves. You know, I'm thinking like from personal experience, you know, the how I've matured as an adult isn't because anyone told me to or was able to come save me. It's because of the mistakes and tribulations, you know, that have happened along the way.
Well, I mean, that's such a, and it has to come from within, and like you said, from experiences. So, but you'd think humanity would have learned, right? We just keep making the same mistakes over and over. And I watched, for the first time, I watched The Irishman yesterday.
Oh,
so
that's
good.
a wild movie.
Yeah, very long, but you know, it's just like his other movies. But it just reminds me, not reminds me, but I realize that, you know, people like that run the world. You know, the mob.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. It is the mob. It's just they have a different name. That's called government.
Yes, exactly. And unfortunately, it's the worst part of society and humanity that rules over us. And I don't know if other species have this issue, and maybe they're doing this as an excuse to make us a hive mind like the aliens, and to keep these types of personalities out of power. I don't know, but that might be the only solution, unfortunately. Or else,
yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, if they did want to save us, it wouldn't be about denuclearizing all this other stuff. It'd be they would get rid of anyone who's in power that's evil and let us basically start over and rebuild. It would suck.
You said it. Yeah,
it would absolutely suck, but it'd be worth in the end because it'd be the people rebuilding who learn the mistakes that were made in the past and do their best not to repeat them.
Yeah, and hopefully they get rid of their underground cities too, because that just means they'll, you know, live to do it another day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
All right. Well, we want to thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
All right.
I don't know what episode was this. I don't even.
154.
154. Man, what a ways we have come.
Yeah, we're getting up there.
Yeah. Once again, we're always happy to hear you guys' feedback. So please comment and share. I know it's annoying to hear, but for growing shows such as ourselves, we need all the help we can get, and we appreciate all the feedback we get.
Yes, we do, and those likes really do something. I think 6% of people that listen and watch to us have not been subscribed. So if you like the show, please subscribe. We're here every single week, no matter what. Pretty much, you know, we hardly miss a week, right? So
yeah, I mean, I know we missed Super Bowl Sunday just because timing. We couldn't get together on Saturday, and Sunday, of course, was a busy day for both of us. We might skip like Christmas or something, but even then, I think we only missed like 1 week during the holiday season this year.
Exactly. So that says a lot. We do put a lot of effort in this. You do great research and put a lot of effort into that. And so we're on X at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher et al. Shout out to the Bitcoin Live guys, Sid and Nick. You can also follow them on X and YouTube. We're on all podcasting platforms and video platforms, including the ones that do not censor. But although YouTube has not been censoring, I was shocked. I was pretty sure last week's show would have been censored.
Yeah, I was too. Man, so we're doing something right, I guess. Or the YouTube censors just got lazy. They just went, forget about these guys.
yes. I think they're relaxing on on COVID and the jab, right?
Well, yeah,
I think
that'd be nice, but we'll see. I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. And if you guys want us to cover anything or suggest some guests, we are open. We are looking for some interviews to do this year. We'd like to bring back on some guests. Maybe Bruce would be good to bring back for what's going on with disclosure. He always has a good take. I'm sure he'll probably
of course. It would be good to get him back on.
All right, cool. Yeah, because we did have some people also in the comments ask for that. So I'll see his availability. That should be fun.
Cool.
And next week, I think, did we have a deep dive or no? We're going to do something with Nick next week.
Yeah, I know we did talk about doing the Falcon Lake expedition.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah,
up in Canada. So we could do that. We could even do that with Nick potentially.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. That'd be fun.
Cool. Now I've got another topic to write about.
Yeah, you got a week to do it. It's not that much. Is there a lot of info on that one?
I've only looked at it briefly, but I don't think so. No. So it definitely
Okay.
won't be nearly as long as extensive as this last one, because holy smokes, that was a lot.
All right, so you should be good then.
Yeah.
Sweet,
All
sweet.
right. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you all next week.
All right.